Community is important in helping a child's development. So there is I don't know if it's an African, I've seen Igbo, I've seen Nigerian, I've seen Asian, anyway, whatever it is. There is a saying that says it takes a village to raise a child. And I actually agree, because there is something in the Montessori philosophy called the 7 tendencies of man, as in this is what man is and that is how man has been from creation. One of those tendencies says man is gregarious. So gregarious meaning that man is a social being. Man needs his fellow man to survive. And this is not just the survival of water and food and shelter. It's the survival of evolution, of evolving, of adaptation, of adapting to, as life keeps transcending, the ability to adapt. So we need other people to be able to do that. So when it comes to child development, it's not something that a mom and a dad can do alone. We need the support of community. However, we are not naive or ignorant of the fact that life has changed, that some decades ago, like I grew up in a time when it was a communal training. So my parents would go to work. I was afraid of my neighbor. In fact, I was afraid of my neighbor. So I didn't need my father to be there. If you were doing something naughty, just be praying that your neighbor doesn't catch you. Why? Your neighbor does not need the permission of your parents to put your head in order. So everybody, in fact, you had parents who would say, I saw your child doing this thing, and the parent goes, and you didn't flog the child, and says to the neighbor, you mean you didn't flog my child? So that was the time. So everybody, the aunties, the cousins, the uncles, everybody had a say. So you were not just concerned about what your parents would say if you made a bad grade. You're like, how am I going to explain to my auntie or my uncle? But times have changed. Times have so changed with the collapse of the extended family. In Nigeria, to a large extent, we have shrunk the extended family. Some people say, it's for the good, but I don't think so. Personally, I think it has done more harm than good, especially as regards to bringing up children. Some people will say, it's the extended family that did this or that. Uncles were putting their mouths where they shouldn't. But if we look at the harm, so the extended family has so shrunk that most children do not even know their aunties and their uncles. And even if they did, it's almost like these people are just so powerless. So you have this new philosophy of don't talk to my child, I'm the only one who disciplines my child, and it extends all the way to the school. Parents are going to schools bullying teachers, parents who bully teachers. That is not the way. You cannot do this thing alone. You know the way we have blind spots when we drive? You could be driving and then you say to yourself, I am so sure I can see everything in my rear mirror, my side mirrors, and then the next thing, boom, a car comes from nowhere. And then it said that car was in your blind spot. So even in life, there are blind spots. There are things you do not see that others would see. And sometimes we do not see these things because of the limitations we have in skills. It's not, these things I'm saying is not common knowledge to every parent. So there are the blind spots of lack of knowledge, lack of exposure, or even the fact that you are emotionally connected to this child. So there are things you don't see that other people sees. So what should community do? Now, we live in estates barricaded by security men, and you don't even know your next door neighbor. You don't know what's going on there. Your child doesn't know. You don't even know if your neighbor is a serial killer. But back then, we knew our neighbors, we knew the church they attend, we knew their cousins, we knew their grandparents. In fact, we literally knew everybody. But right now, children live in exclusion. Growing up, we were excited about holidays. We were excited when the school. That's why we had songs like Holidays Coming and stuff. We were happy. Why? Because we lived in neighborhoods where other children will come out and everybody's playing. But do you know, I have parents calling me now and saying to me, my child is literally getting into depression because they're on holiday. No friend, nobody, no neighborhood, nothing. The child is just in front of the gadget. So how is it affecting today's child? is affecting today's child in terms of, one, social skills. A lot of children do not know how to engage adults. We grew up learning to engage adults. Our parents taught us. So somebody comes to the house, your father calls you, do you know this person? And then you go, no. You mean you don't know Uncle XYZ? This is your uncle from your mother's side, your third cousin, and you're learning all of those things. What's the next thing? So you don't know how to greet. You greet. So you don't know this is what to do. So you don't know, and you're learning social skills. You're learning how to interact with adults, with different people. But today's child is in front of the gadget and no social skills. They do not even know how to talk with their peers. They are timid or they are aggressive. They are addicted to this gadget. So parents are busy. What should we do? This is our life. I'm not saying that, okay, everything has to change. We have to go back to the good old days. That's not possible. And there are so many factors. I do not just blame it and say, oh, why are we like this in this time? There are so many factors. Actually, there are so many factors. Some of the things our parents did not know are coming to the forefront. For instance, some of our parents didn't know that some of the cousins were sexually abusing some of their children, or uncles were abusing. But now those things are coming, and some parents are being careful, some are being paranoid. So what do we do? It starts by, first of all, as a parent, ensuring that you are learning, you keep relearning, you keep on learning, you are acquiring skills. You take the journey of parenting to be something that you are intentional about. It's not just, oh, I just got married to the love of my life. What's the next thing? After the wedding, we have a baby. What's the next thing? Baby grows. What's the next thing? Baby is tall. What's the next thing? Baby is in school. And that's just it. You are intentional. You are as intentional the way you are preparing for an interview for a job, the way you want to pass your exams. You are asking yourself questions like, what kind of adult do I want my child to be? Who are the people I should surround myself with? That means that even the friends you make, you are intentional about your friends. When you become a parent, this is not the time of, I know that this my friend is a thief, but we now we know ourselves. No, this is not that. Because there is another human being who is naive, who is young, who is open and picking everything in your environment. So you are intentional about the people you bring into your space. You are intentional about teaching your caregiver your goal. Now, when my D's being my children, I call them D's because all four of them, their name starts with D. When my D's were younger, I understood the importance of what you call sensitivity to order, meaning that the child should have a routine. You come back, you remove your shoes, it has where it stays. And then I would have some caregivers who thought that they were trying to be nice to me. Oh, want to show our madam that we really love her children. So what do? My child is trying to unstrap the sandal or shoes and say, no, don't touch it. Let me do it for you. No way. Don't bother about carrying your plates. Let me do it for you. Let me feed you. And I'm like, no. So I take my time to teach the caregiver. This is the reason why the child has to learn, because in carrying that tray, their motor skills are developing. In doing those things for themselves, they are learning how to be independent, to take care of themselves. I say to them, I teach them, I say, so do you know how you're going to help me? Ensure that you partner with me with these things. Don't do it for them. Of course, I've had those ones who are like, my heart will break. I won't let the child wash the plate. And I say to them, if you can't flow, then you are out of my house. Some caregivers left my house, not because they stole or anything, but they just could not bring themselves. So they were like a clog. So for every time I'm trying to attain a particular development, they come like a clog and they dislodge it. So this is what I say to parents: be intentional. Pick up knowledge from the right source. There are so many philosophies out there. So many people saying things like, allow the child to be, the child will discover themselves. The question we need to be asking ourselves: what kind of adult do you want your children to become? If we can sit down with ourselves and write down and have a vision of the kind of adult you want your child to be. Is it an adult that is bold and courageous and independent and confident, has good social skills, has critical reasoning? Then it means that we should be saying to ourselves, then this is what it takes for me as the parent to model that, to allow certain people in my, they don't have to be biological relatives, because even some biological relatives, This is what I say. Don't let them close to your children. That's true. There are some relatives bound by blood or marriage. Don't bring them close to your children. You are going to pay for it. So, but you can allow other people. Check out for people you want your children to learn from. Make sure that their paths cross. Be intentional. Tell the children, I like this auntie, and let them know why you like the auntie or the uncle. I like this auntie. She's organized. She's trustworthy. She's honest. She's driven, she's hardworking, so that the children are looking for the right things. And not that I like this auntie. Can you see that her wigs are always on point? Can you see that uncle, his shoes are no. As in, you are bringing out values, and then you are on your own. Don't just sit back and wait for people to come. Ensure that you are joining community, whatever it is, your church, your any gathering. You are intentionally arranging for visits, for just anything that helps you. And then lastly, look for older couples who have gone through this parenting journey with their children, and you have looked at them and you're like, I like what these people have done with their children. Stay close. Please don't just go online, Google, how does it, what should I do to it? Stay close to these people. Ask them questions. How did you do it? How did you navigate this? Don't just stay with your peers. Jesus said something. Permit me to use what Jesus said. He said, can the blind lead the blind? He said both of them will fall into a ditch. So if you just stay with your pair, all of us have 5 months old baby. Let's just be talking to ourselves. You are not going to make so much progress as much as asking those people who have gone through that. So once again, my name is Chidima Abiakalam, and we've just been talking about developmental areas of the child, its importance, and what we can do as parents and caregivers. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Bless you.